Sense start with the stop and the frisking. Soon everybody hands up. Lean against the building. No ID, straight to the bullpen. Police state they are creating. Couple idiots begin this school shooting. Round the country, bushmasters start blazing. Blessed are the heroes who protected the children. To have a special place reserved in your heaven. The rules and laws they pending. Trending. Network socializing. Them trending. But the rules and laws they bending. While them trending into the depths of hell, them descending. Them trending, but the rules and laws they bending. Trending, revisiting, remix, blow fire upon the food when they sell soul, just a blending. Oh, them trending. The rules and laws they bending. Yes, them trending. Network socializing. Them trending. But the rules and laws they bending. While them trending into the depths of hell, them descending. Them used to call it copycat, well now them call it trending. In a matter the phrasing still mean the same thing. Corruption, destruction and mayhem. We don't know who or what they are praising. If you see one man by the track tomorrow, 10 more jumping. Can I take the stress in the land of the living? Sweet suicide they are committing. And then they blame it on the system. Bank know you're broke, but them keep on lending. You know you're broke, but you keep on spending. Few years later, house for closing. Contract binding, them trending. The rules and laws, them bending. Trending, network socializing. Them trending, but the rules and laws, them bending. While them trending into the depths of hell, them descending. Taking them stories there to the judge them line. From baseball straight through to land span cycling. Need a little help to keep winning when the youth find out the truth, demoralizing. Britney exposing. Soon you say on and Eve and do the same thing. Ray J and the gal king on the 50.
Aggressive, assertive, attentive, innovative. Black people representative. We want to just lean back and check the motive. Sing out. Right now they use them, they kill one another. Right now when the time for the pray to the Father. Right now, Billy's under fire. Right now, right now, right now, right now they use them, they kill one another. Right now when the time for the pray to the Father. Right now, spread the news to your brother. Right now, right now, right now, right now. Blind lead the blind, prophecies fulfill. Signs of the time. When Satan billions, them call it white collar crime. Granny scrape the pennies, but they cannot find a dime. One more wrong under them coke and wine. Then they try this time mankind. But so them might get snatched from behind and bleed to the eye when they bind the twine. Cause of them the economy on decline. Moral fabric of society on decline. Ecosystem on decline. Them could have start all day one thing they can't find. And that's the peace of mind. Right now they use them, they kill one another. Right now when the time for the pray to the Father. Right now, Billy's under fire. Right now, right now, right now, right now they use them, they kill one another. Right now when the time for the pray to the Father. Right now, spread the news to your brother. Right now, right now, right now, right now. Them boy, they move savage. Poor people need 10 more stimulus package. To all them food, but don't cause all the damage. Boom. Yes, I don't find nothing in the wreckage. Big cigar, hunting cottage. Why for the globe trek?
All right, it's 7 o'clock in Belize City. I am G. Michael Reid. Welcome to our weekly podcast. A couple of weeks ago, we moved to Thursday because of the lots of traffic on Wednesday evenings. Figure we'd give you something to do on Thursday evenings. Interesting enough, our guest tonight used to have a show. I believe it was Thursday nights. We're expecting Dickie to pop up on the screen any minute now. Joe should be joining us also. Oh, there it is. I don't want to say speak of the angel. Not the devil this time. What's up, Dickie? Really?
Good night, my brother. Good night to your viewers and your listeners.
All right. Attorney at law, Richard Dickie Bradley. Boy, you're an icon. Can't say it no less than that in Belize, of course. And if you get in trouble, there's only one man you want in your corner when you look over there, and that is Dickie. Dickie, the things are interesting to say the very least. We want we want to do a lot of time tonight on the 13th Amendment because I've met a lot of people who said to me, Jim, I mean, I know what it's all about. What exactly is the 13th Amendment? And if I was to put that question to you, how would you answer that, Dickie?
The 13th Amendment is the 13th attempt proposed amendment to the Constitution of Belize.
Okay.
This is not an amendment to a regular law. This is an amendment to the supreme law of our nation. And it came about because in the Constitution, in Chapter 2, which deals with all the fundamental rights and freedoms of everyone, including visitors, tourists, and foreigners who are within our jurisdiction,
Mm.
all their fundamental rights are listed in Chapter 2, and that chapter guarantees, it actually used the word protection of the fundamental rights and freedoms because the Constitution does not give us these fundamental rights and freedoms. We have these being human beings. The Constitution, as the supreme law, protects the rights of us human beings within our legal and geographical nation. So the 13th Amendment is a reference to the 13 times there has been an attempt to make changes to the Constitution.
When you say attempt, they weren't done. I mean, there are amendments. There are 12 amendments, correct?
No, they are not. Well, there I'll double check that for you, but there have been attempts to make changes which have not been successful
And they're still labeled as an amendment.
because they count it as a 13th Amendment or a 13th proposed amendment because this 13th time has not yet been placed in the Constitution.
So
Now,
should this not pass, will this yet be termed the 13th Amendment, and the next amendment will be considered the 14th Amendment? Is that what you're saying?
yes,
Even if it doesn't pass.
right. Technically speaking, the numbers are every attempt to make changes so that we can always reference back to the Eighth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment, and if they are passed, we know they are passed. If they are not, we know there was an attempt to pass
But
it.
but if they're not passed, they're not amendments. They're not amending
But this
anything.
is
They're
yes,
attempts,
this is not an amendment either. This is only carrying the name
right?
13.
Because it has not passed yet. But
That is
should it
correct.
pass,
Yeah.
it would be an amendment. But if it doesn't pass, how can you still classify it as an amendment? And forgive my ignorance, because I'm
Yeah,
asking you,
no, it's not.
honest.
Yeah, it's not ignorance. It's just the layman's understanding of what would normally be a straightforward, logical matter. But we would have to, for historical purposes, be able to remember there was a time when they had attempted to amend the Constitution, and we can easily say the 13th Amendment was proposed in 2025. So it can easily be tracked down by people who go to search engines or go to the archives or the government printers. So the
It is what it is, and I'll have to accept it as that. It's a bit confusing, you will admit, and it's not quite clear because again, an amendment is something that you amend. If it's not amended, then it's an attempt at an amendment or
yeah,
just a proposal. So I am, and I'm just saying that. So let me not break your train of thoughts because
Yeah.
you're on a roll there. So we go. This is the 13th attempt at trying to change the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution.
Okay, fine. We could look at it that way. Remember, however, that this particular proposed amendment has already gone through most of its stages. One, the cabinet has discussed it and approved it. Two, it has been drafted in the legal terms. Three, it has been sent to the House of Representatives and tabled and sent to the necessary committee of the Parliament of the House of Representatives. And I would like for you and I, and hopefully we are joined by Joe, who was a member of the House of Representatives, to discuss an important aspect of our House of Representatives. So this proposal is a bill. It has been tabled in our Parliament. It has been gazetted. It on the 31st of May. I'll get it shortly. And it has not only been gazetted, but the Constitution requires any effort, any proposal to make change to the fundamental areas of the Constitution. Nothing must happen from the date it is tabled in the House of Representatives until 90 days has elapsed in order for, hopefully, for there to be proper consultation and education of the citizens. That 90 days comes to an end this week. So all the stages have been met except for when the House meets again. If they so desire, they can then bring forward that bill which is already in front of them and pass it. They have done all the basic requirements so they can pass it. So let me go back to your original question. The 13th Amendment is a proposal to insert into the highest law of the land, the Constitution, some new features. Um, those features has come about because for the past for about 7 years, G. Mike Reid and your listeners, since 2018, the then government has been using Section 18 and Section 19 of the Constitution, which are also part of the Chapter 2 of Fundamental Rights. Those two sections deal with the matter that is referred to as a state of emergency. That is in the Constitution, in the chapter that protect our rights.
Mhm.
And that section provides for a certain procedure that the government can declare a state of emergency in sections of beliefs or overall or more than one sections. And when a state of emergency is declared under that constitutional requirement, certain things can be done. The police can pick you up and lock you up without going to a court, without giving you a charge, without you having an opportunity to say you're guilty or not guilty or what. All of that is bypassed because you're in an emergency. And the Constitution defines what is an emergency that would allow agents of the nation, of the state, to be able to abridge, restrain, violate, breach your fundamental right to be treated in a certain way. So, what has happened since 2018? Those sections of the Constitution, Section 18 and 19, have been used by both the PUP government, which is now in office, and by the previous UDP government to declare a state of emergency and to pick up some 90 odd, 100 and odd persons and lock them up in prison without any charge or any recourse to courts. And the figures vary. Sometimes it's for 1 month, which is 30 days. Sometimes it's 2 months. Sometimes it's extended to 3 months. Now, what has happened is that a court in Belize actually a handful of young men decided to sue the government for locking them up unlawfully and unconstitutionally. And then a larger amount, 16 young men, also sued. The first smaller set, their matter went in front of a particular judge whose decision was once the government feels that the conditions in the country warrants it, the government can declare a state of emergency and can go ahead and take people and put them in prison. Subsequently, another judge looked at the second claim of 16 citizens of Belize, all males, and gave a different decision. And this second decision is that there was no factors that constituted an emergency. So the government was wrong. If the government declared an unlawful state of emergency, then everything the government did under that unlawful state of emergency is also unlawful. And that judge awarded a total of 300 and odd $1,000 to the persons who had sued. Individually, it amounted to like 15,000 and 18,000 and so forth. The government decided they don't really want to pay no gang members no money. But worse, they felt that they needed to have the ability to declare some kind of state of something and to lock up people without going through the proper legal channel. And that is how the 13th Amendment, a proposal, has come about.
What the government then, in your opinion, has no discretion to do this? What's the process that has to be followed for a government to declare a state of emergency?
Well, it's very clear in sections 18 and 19 of the present Constitution
Okay.
that a state of emergency can only be declared in the event that there is a war,
Mm-hmm.
in the event there is insurrection,
Mm-hmm.
meaning, for those who might not know, that there are those who are armed and are seeking by violent means to overthrow the government.
Mm-hmm.
Where a democracy, we don't overthrow governments, we go and vote them out.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also speaks to the matter of earthquake. It didn't have in hurricane, but we are familiar with hurricanes and know that they can be very devastating.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says, which is very important, that when the conditions are such that normal life can't go on, you can't come out your house to go to the shop to buy because the shop has been looted or closed down, and the owners of the stores and the shops and the essential services are not around. They have either fled the country or they are fighting to try to pick up the pieces after an earthquake or hurricane or whatever. And there are people who are presenting a danger to the rest of law abiding citizens. Those are the conditions where we can say there's a state of emergency and law enforcement will be out and will do certain things.
Now that last point, is that not what the government is using to say, well, listen, there's a state of unrest. People are getting killed out there. People are not walking the streets in safety. Whether they're getting injured or fear that they might get injured. And therefore, we might need to do something because the people, and you must admit, do clamor. And whenever there's a sensational crime in particular, don't you think?
But we are a nation of laws. The government can't just decide that, oh, there is something in the law that says we can declare a state of emergency and lock up people. The conditions have to be met.
Uh, uh,
And while if there is a shooting on Raccoon Street, the neighborhood and the people on Raccoon Street may be in fear and don't want to come out. That is not sufficient for a state of emergency to be declared. You can put policemen on Raccoon Street. You
uh,
can
le-
you can do a lot of things, but you can't do what has been done in this country for 18 different times since 2018 is just arbitrarily declare a state of emergency and arbitrarily pick up dozens and dozens of young people and put them into the prison for various periods. That is also like you're going down a road of lawlessness.
Dickie, you asked about our good friend and my co-host from time to time, when you feel like it. Joe, let's welcome Mr. Cowitt to the house. Former Minister of Government, philosopher extraordinaire, I'll tell you that. Provocateur at times. Yeah. Joe, welcome.
Yeah, nice to be back, my brother.
I know you and Dickie are on the same sides on this issue. You have said to me, and at times we have to be very, very careful with this 13th Amendment because it is dangerous. Do you still believe that way?
Well, I have come even more enforced in a sense. I am more consciously aware that this is dangerous to carry out the 13th Amendment. And I'm saying this because this section here, as I understand it, and I was back then in 1981 knocking on doors to get support for this constitution, not as a lawyer, but as a person who was well informed on the constitution. And to the best of my knowledge, this was never intended to be used to fight crime. Never. This was cases, as they mentioned here, of natural disasters of that type, pesticides and earthquakes, etc. And the closest it came to what they seemed to wanted to do was when they mentioned about persons or body of persons. But again, that is when the situation has become such that there is widespread lack of access. People can't go to schools, they can't go to the shops, they can't go to the churches, they can't go to the parks. This is an extreme circumstance. So to me, when they introduced this, as I remember it back then, it was not for the sake of just limiting our rights, for the sake of fighting crime. No, the Constitution was never intended to limit our rights.
But do you think that crime was considered as one of the reasons why they might need to put in place strict measures as such?
Well,
Or is it an overreaction?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I think it has well been established long ago by the criminologists and all the sociologists. You cannot fight crime through strengthening police force and judiciary. That is dealing with the symptoms of crime.
Bukele might disagree with you.
Well, I would agree if he disagree with me because he is going down that path which they seem to want to take us with this 13th Amendment, and we should not support it. For the reason, and I'm repeating it, you cannot fight crime by addressing symptoms, which is what you want to do.
What do you say to people that suggest that Bukele has succeeded in doing that? Because there are many people who say Salvador is a much safer place today. Now, given that Belize is not anywhere near what Salvador was, and maybe this is Dickie's point that they are overreacting as opposed to just acting based on what we have going. No.
Well, I would like to say something about the Salvador case. What happened in Salvador was a state failure. The state failed. I know they want to remedy it with Bukele's strong arm and, in fact, violating the very constitution itself in Salvador. To me, we reached the stage where we are evidently because we never addressed the socio-economic issues that created crimes. And I don't want to be sounding that I am so much into the Queen Elizabeth intelligence and knowledge. But if you go back to 1994, when she herself addressed the parliament in this country, Prime Minister Esquivel was Prime Minister, B.Q. Pitts was then Speaker of the House. And I could go back to the speech that she said, and he cautioned Belize and the Commonwealth. You cannot use your enforcement, your police strengthening and judiciary to fight crime because you're addressing symptoms. To deal with crime, you have to address the root cause, which is socioeconomic. So to me, wherever you come to this point, where you have to deal with crime in this fashion that they want to deal with it, that to me is an indictment of the state. The state failed. And now it's trying to correct it by limiting our rights when in fact that was not what this constitution intended. And I
Okay,
agree with Dicky when I look at that judgment. The judge is telling them that you cannot do this to fight crime. It was
Dicky,
not intended for that.
Dicky, eh, is there anything that can be done short of what the government is suggesting? Do you think there's a need for anything to be done, or everything is okay as it is, and maybe these murders are isolated and will solve itself in the longer run? I respond to that.
Well, I wanted to, first of all, support what Joe has said. I also want to caution against just grabbing up Bukele and what he has done and suggest that we are to start that journey because we are talking about two totally different societies and we are talking about two totally different matters. We have a small population. This crime problem is primarily centered on the south side of Belize City. We are talking about, just for ease of numbers, 100 to 200 persons whom the police may want to finger as so-called gang members. And remember when they talk crime, we know they talk crime. We're only talking about gang personalities, gang violence, gang murder.
Which leads to murders.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You're not talking crime that oh they rape somebody or oh they broke in a house and burglary is a big thing and people they kick down door and so on. No, we're talking persons who in the view of the police are members of gangs. One. Two, what Joe has said cannot be overemphasized, G. Mike Reid, and we need you to cross that fence and come with us. Cannot be overemphasized. It's bullshit big time to try and suggest that all you need to do to fight this particular type of crime is to allow the state to pick up people and carry them to prison. Come on, man, we are more sensible than that. The
What
issue of crime is a social and economic problem. And no efforts, I really appreciate that Joe Cowie has come public. No efforts have been, no efforts are being, no efforts are planned to do anything about the root causes of this crime. We are allowing ourselves to be distracted with an argument that is only one of several arguments. That the only reason the government is where it is at with the 13th Amendment proposal is because a court has condemned what they have been doing and not listening to persons who may have had a little insight into the matter. And they are so pig-headed and so arrogant, they don't want to hear anything. They are catering to the Bukele mentality to lock up people because these people who will be locked up are no relatives, no uncles, aunts, friends, children of those who support this stupid approach, which is not a solution to crime. Having said that, having said that, I believe, I've learned this from Joe Cowie, I believe that every problem has a solution. I believe that many problems have more than one solution, and that we in Belize have the mental ability to find solution to our problems. This is not no complicated matter. These are young men who, for whatever reason, have attached themselves or are co-opted into aligning themselves with gangs. Now let's look at a little closer at the situation. In 2008, when the people of Belize voted for a new government by a huge margin, there were 9 gangs in the country in 2008. In February 2008, there were 9 gangs. That government, for a number of reasons, was able to remain in office continuously to 2020. They were acutely blessed with extra financing from the finding of some oil in Spanish Lookout and from this extraordinary soldier who became the president of Venezuela, who made his country's oil available to all of us in the Caribbean and in Central America and even some countries in the United States of America. We in Belize do not even know that this friendly country and friendly government, Venezuela, has the largest reserve of petroleum in the world. We don't even know that.
Uh,
So, so
Go ahead.
the statistics, the shocking, disgraceful, shameful facts that we are not focusing on, and they talk about 13th Amendment and Bukele, is that the gangs have grown from 9 to 29. When the present government came in November of 2020, there were 28 gangs. Last month, the minister responsible for the police said that, to their knowledge, there are now 29 gangs, meaning another gang grew up during the currency of the present administration. Then I have no shame and say that they could come and tell us that we met 28 gangs and there are now only 18. And in the next 3 years, there's going to be 9, and so on. So that talking not even come out of the mouth. We are distracting ourselves with a proposal that is dangerous, as Joe Cowie has said, and is a bad thing for us as a democracy, because which constitution you know having there that you could just go and pick up people and lock them up in jail? And this proposal speaks about locking them up for periods of not more than 12 months, meaning they could put you in the 9 months, and when the 9 months up, they can extend it by 6 or 5 or 10 or 11 or even up to 12, which was never in the present constitution under the state of emergency. No constitution will have in that agents of the state can go and pick up people and just take them straight to jail. That is not only an affront, but that is an ambush and an attack on the constitution of the land. This
Well,
is a very serious matter, G. Mike. This I don't know
let
how
me
we
let,
need to
let,
fight
let,
crime.
let
Let
me
me
put.
just finish. Let me get this out.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is not no matter like why Bukele successful, which are doing he kind of mini Bukele. Why then why need to get lock up, make we lock up. Why this? No man, listen. Not even. Do you know what they admitted just 2 months ago when they were asked why don't you put more cameras? The minister responsible for the police said that we have many cameras, but we don't have nobody where they monitor them. I should cuss a big fat bad word in response to that, you know. Isn't that shameful? You want to weaken your constitution by saying we could lock up people, and when a simple thing like having a camera and a lamppost in a so-called hot area or hotspot area, you have nobody looking on the camera. And then worse than that, come on, G Mike, me, you and Joe know better. Worse than that, you tell the nation we have like 100 more cameras, but there are no monitors, nobody to monitor it. What a goddamn shame that is. So let me finish by saying the placement of cameras is an important factor. Very important. The just mere presence might make somebody decide, I can't jump on my bike and ride on the corner and blast that boy cars, you know. So we need, man, come on, listen. When this stupid amendment is put into the constitution, if it's not challenged and demolished, the situation with the 29 gangs won't change. The conditions which give rise to the 29 gangs won't change. The conditions that make young men, you know, don't want to take a shift, as Bert Tucker would say, a paradigm shift. Because for right now, there is the possibility that jobs can be made available to them, that we need to focus on their girlfriends, their wives, their common law, their children. We need to talk one on one to It's just 100 and odd people, man. We can't sit down and say, my boy, this is where the front of you. We are train your girl. We are pay for your picnic go to school. We will give you a job. You want training skills in anything, we will provide it. Get off of that lifestyle. Come and help us. Supervise the 10 man we have got and turn it into productive citizens. We can go further than that, G Mike. They got some thing. I know a lot of people laugh at those things, but they have some lease starter houses that can be made available. Take these people over these overcrowded yards and congested neighborhoods and show them a little better life. You could have a yard where you could plant in at the back, your picnic could run about, you could go and leave swing, you could invite them boy over and you could go and leave plastic pool in at the side. Show us a better life. Make it available. Don't come and just lock me up because locking up, let me make this point. If locking up was a solution to solving this type of crime, crime would have been eliminated in Jamaica, in Trinidad, in
Exactly.
Grenada, St. Lucia, Antigua,
Ex-
in
Exactly.
Central America, in the 50 states in the United States. If that was the solution, we so shit in the beliefs we can't see that this is just a distraction and a diversion and an easy way out to tell people we're lock you up. Attack
Well,
the conditions because we have the ability to resolve these problems. We have that. That is what I want to
well,
emphasize.
well, Mr. Chairman, I want to come in to support a point that Nicky made just now. There was a meeting in Costa Rica of mostly the whole Latin American countries, including Belize. I was there as mayor. The commissioner of police was there. A member of the Supreme Court of Justice was there. And we had experts in crimes, experts in sociology at that meeting. And one of the things was cited by the criminologists, and they were there, and Dicky said it just now. There is no country in the world that have ever succeeded in fighting crime by addressing symptoms. Never did. No. We have two ministries. We have the Ministry of Police, we can call it that deals with the suppression of crime in that sense. But we have another ministry called the Ministry of Human Development, Family Support, and Early Childhood Development. Now, look at the budget and see what is allocated for the department, the ministry that is to fight the socioeconomic problems. Look at it and ask ourselves, how much is allocated for that? That is the ministry that is to fight the cause of crime. That is what that ministry was for. So if you look at the evidence to show where we are not putting the resource to deal with the cause of crime as we should. Now, recently, another evidence, the Bullmore report and the 21st century analysis of Belize is citing something very important, that for the last 25 years, apart from our 8% GDP, we rank among the third poorest in terms of the per capita income. And you know what that is telling you? He's saying in the report that there is a growing inequality in the distribution of income. In other words, the gap is widening. The few who have, they have more, and the many who have less is having less. Those are indications, gentlemen, evidence, irrefutable evidence that we are going down the wrong road. Do not go for the 13th Amendment. We're going to limit the rights and create an opportunity for authoritarian behavior. And I'm serious, I'm strong about it, and I'm willing to debate it publicly. In any ministers, we cannot go down this road. Use what we have. We have
We
the human.
all right. May I get a word in? May I get a word in? Because and they keep come out at me like I am the opposing side. I have not
Support
even
what
made
you
a. I have made no decision. I've not been uh, out there advocating for any 13 amendments. So let me make that clear. But I do have some questions because we've gone from 9 to 29 gangs. We have 4 or 5 murders per week. Are we not going down a road that we need to also be careful of not going down? Are we not also going down a dangerous road here?
It's not 4 murders a week.
There have been times when there were more, and
There are
it might
no.
average out to close to that.
It's not
So,
merely.
are you saying to me though that what we have is we can deal with? We can just we don't have to worry about that. It's gonna solve itself. It's not
No,
gonna get
we're
too
not.
bad as
We're not
long as
saying.
we don't pass the 13th Amendment. Everything will be all right.
We're
Is
not
that
saying that.
what I'm
We know they
hearing?
said that. We know they said that. They
All
are not
right. Yeah, yeah,
mutually
yeah.
exclusive. They are not mutually exclusive.
But something has to
But,
be done, don't you
but
think?
of course, isn't that
Okay.
why we are discussing it? But we need to be clear where we are in order to appreciate where we can go.
Right.
What Joe is saying is a matter where I'll take it on myself and call the media tomorrow to ask them to interview him on the Bulmer Thomas report. We have a fucked up society, we don't discuss issues. We don't want to hear from nobody. We have some talking heads in the morning. They babble about a lot of things which are not really all that pressing and important, and all the pressing and important issues are left undiscussed. How could a book come out from a man who he used to teach me at St. Michael's College, Bulma
Yeah,
Thomas?
yeah, yeah. But Dickie, and again, when no one allow me for intervene at certain points when I say certain things. Because I tell you what, I've listened to two of the talk shows off and on. I lean towards Krem, and I know you'll be happy to hear that because I think they do discuss issues. What we miss here, though, is that somebody has to initiate this. Somebody has to be there to call and say something. And if you leave it up to the talk show hosts, not all of them got that one list of the things that they think they usually go with what they hear from the public and feed that tiger that rises from there. But I don't know that to say that they're not discussing it. And I know that no indictment. I hear you, but are we the general public engaged enough? Are we involved enough? Are we concerned enough?
We don't have that culture. We don't have that
Well, that
culture.
might be one of the things we need to change, don't you think?
Fine. I mean, we need to change a lot of things, but let us make some bullet points. We have to discuss the Bulma Thomas report and findings. What
That's the
kind of
guy.
society? What kind of society we have where
That,
something so crucial, so important to our developmental process that not get no kind of
let,
airtime?
let, let us clear up what
But
that is. Who Bulwa was who? A Belizean
he's
or
no, he's a foreigner, but he taught in Belize and he loved Belize, and he's written a book about a research book by a man who is a trained economist. Joe Cowie is a trained Belizean. For him to give his perspective on the findings of Bulmer Thomas is even more important than the findings because we have a
Bulwa
whole.
Thomas is the man's full name, or is there two people, Bulwa and Thomas?
No, that the name. I think he got
Bulwa
a
Thomas.
name. Yeah, I
So
think right.
he issued a report.
He put out a book, but he was
Uh,
also invited to give a lecture,
uh,
which helped to highlight the book. How we are not a nation of readers. We don't read. So let me make two points I want to make. One is you and I and Joe live in a society where there are three universities. Can you imagine that? Have you ever heard any of the universities they are putting on a panel discussion about the way to deal with crime? Crime in Belize, gangs in Belize, the way forward, nothing, Rasta, not
does
three,
anybody talk about it?
three. We are
Well,
doing it right.
beside us here, yeah,
Yeah,
we're doing it, and from time to
because,
time we do.
because, because one of those universities, the University of Belize, is paid for by me, you, Joe, and all the Belizeans who pay taxes. That is paid out of our hard taxes. And they give back very, very little to the community by way of just sponsor and organize it, my boy. If you know so coward that you don't want to address the issues, no, you not address it. Invite people who want to do so. Invite people who want to do so.
Joe, would you
So,
accept?
so hold on. This is
Uh,
what I want to get out of my mind to you, G Mike, and as a reminder to Joe, because we have to unleash Joe from people who are thinkers. Society where a lot of people are not thinkers. They are not like you and Joe who they analyze where they happen. We hear the news and that like, can I distract myself just for 3 or 4 minutes before I give you the point I want to make? Very recently, a despicable human being with a despicable character named Budna was picked up from all indications by law enforcement in Belize and taken and handed over to Guatemala. That is as frightening as the 13th Amendment proposal. That the state is engaged in abduction and handing over of its own citizens to a foreign.
But Dickie, that's not fair. That is not proven. That
What are
has
not
not.
doing?
That is Bodna's word.
No
You're
man,
taking Bodna's
no
word for
sir.
that,
There
and that
are
man has no
no.
credibility.
Don't you say that. There are eyewitnesses in Orange Walk Town who have gone to the media and said what they saw. Don't say that. Police
And they
officers,
and they
don't say that.
saw and they
No,
saw
listen,
what?
listen, don't make me distract myself.
No,
That
no,
is
no. But you
my,
brought the topic up, man. You can't
yeah,
just
because
expect
you're
me
an
to swallow.
unbeliever.
But
Yeah,
no, but you to push something in on me down my mouth,
you
and
are an
I'm not supposed to
unbeliever.
even.
I'm not trying to convince you. I'm telling you my view that the state agents they went and abducted a Belizean. Okay, that it was rapist, sodomite, whatnot, and so.
That
We do not.
for we sodomite. That's the way to
No,
say.
no, no. That's what I'm
Therefore,
saying.
we have to protect him because
I'm
no,
not saying that.
Dickie,
I'm not
Dickie,
saying that,
give me
man.
a
I'm
minute. Give me a
saying
minute. Hold on,
no, man.
because now we can all speak though, but you don't. You're not giving. I'm not even getting a chance to say a word in
Yeah,
here.
because you
You
the
you be you,
chairman. You the
yeah, but
chairman.
that's all right. But then I must have some input.
Of course, let me finish
Now,
first, and you
now
could.
hold on. Let me say something. There was a story on the news this evening about a principal that sexually assaulted a 13-year-old student. Now, all he would have to do then is commit a crime in Guatemala, want it over there, and all would be forgiven. Is that where we're going here with this now?
Well, you could totally miss the point, like most people. The point is, the state is not allowed to abduct its own citizens and throw them across the next country. We have a legal procedure. You are encouraging criminal illegality when that happens. When
I,
listen, this happen all over the world, you know.
I
When the
know that,
agent,
yeah, but
hold on,
that is not no
hold
straight
on,
from the
man.
point, though, Dickie. Stay up on this topic because what
I
you're saying,
try to
you're the
explain.
liar, me. You're the liar, me. I won't let you. But go ahead, say what you finished ready to say.
Nobody will lie at you.
You're the liar, me. You're the liar,
The
me. Go ahead.
13th Amendment is as worse as that because they want to pick up their own people and lock them up the jail with no charge. It's worse than that. We must be very focused on the real issue. The man is a despicable human being. He's wanted by Guatemala. His business to be handed over and spend the time over there. That have nothing to do with the government sanctioning people putting on masks and pick up
But
on
the
people.
government has been spoiled. We have no credibility now at all in our elected officials or our police department? Are
None
we
of
gonna
them.
just suspect everything they come and look at it as being so terrible?
Isn't that
What kind of
isn't
society are we in then? Maybe we
what
do need a 13th amendment to address that.
you mean? Pick up the journalists and lock them up?
Pick up and the government officials and the police then, if that's
Papacito.
what they're doing.
Let me say the second issue. Give me a little chance. It'll take me 3 to 5 minutes. I want to get this one off my chest as well. Probably said it before. Early last year, 2024, payments started to come out of the treasury. I know somebody with a little more experience than myself has been saying for many years, no call no name, but we should call name when the if you look behind me, there's a drawing of Malcolm X that my son has painted. Um, let me just get this out. First of all, Belize under the UDP administration decided they are going to take over the Belize Telecommunications Company, very wealthy company at the time. And there was big back and forward and got a court and so on. When it appeared that an application to the Court of Appeal would have succeeded because G. Mike Reid, no government can come and take private sector property and not pay for it. That is in our constitution. That is the law. You need a piece of land for a park, you pay the owner of the land if you need it. A road has to pass through a village, you pay the people in where the road pass on for their land. That is elementary in any democracy. We have it. The government took BTL and no one pay. They wrong and strong it. They even send the army into the compound. It turned out after all kind of rhetoric and all kind of beat chest and all kind of thing that they quietly, the prime minister at the time, who was also minister of finance, said to this nation he was going to Miami to look after his back. He had a problem with his back, as we all know or hear about. And he in Miami sat in a hotel room with Mr. Ashcroft and signed a secret contract in which he subsequently paid more than $500 million. Fast forward just a couple more years, and a new government is in. And the people who far smarter than me and you, and who got we distracted over one Bukele and one Budna and one this and one that, guess what they did? They come up with a brilliant idea. Let's buy the let's buy the port authority from the man, from the owner. Let's buy it back. They agreed to have a meeting, number of people where Ray Lightburn, what I describe as feeders. You remember Ray Lightburn, Joe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Character of they agreed, G. Mike Reid and your viewers, to pay 98 plus million US dollars for the port authority. Just beginning of last year, they start to pay, you know. Now listen to this. When the news got out, the former prime minister of a UDP government who had paid $540 million for a BTL which was valued at about 300 million, the former prime minister felt he could not restrain himself. He had to say something that when he was in office, they had come with that proposal, but they were offering to sell it for, I think he said 40 or 60. We could always check that. Something which was being offered for sale to the government, I believe, for 60 million was purchased for 98 million US. It don't stop there. Guess what they said? Well, the man got a couple of lawsuits against the government and make we settle all of them there. No got a court, you know. Not the likelihood maybe we could win one, maybe the amount of the claim can be reduced. No, they want to settle all of the lawsuit for 102 million US dollars. That comes up to $400 million. Guess what? They don't do what you and I and Joe would have done. If we owe somebody, boy, I already happy. And give 125,000. 6 months time and give another 20. Another 6 months I could come up with around 15. No, they're not upon no payment plan. To hell with fight against gang crime. To hell with make the society better. To hell with more students not having to struggle to buy books and a uniform and so on and so forth. No, no, no. Then they pay out of the taxpayers' money $400 million. When you take that and add it on to the 5 point whatever million, and there was a 90 in between where had grown, Joe, that had grown from the 30 million Said had put at the Belize Bank to pay for the hospital, because he said, you know, one hospital crash. And so that 30, the then Prime Minister of the UDP said, guess what? I not pay a cent. Not pay nothing. Well, the 30 grew to 90. So you take 540, you add on 90 and add on 400 more. You talk about over $1 billion, G. Mike Reid, that a poor suffering country, especially the poor people, they get up in the morning and not quite clear how they want to feed them picnic. Over $1 billion. We have no debate, we have no discussion. Nobody knows say, "Part it, my boy. How to do that to we? How the two party do we that, you know?" We are much poorer because of those decisions. They don't know rocket science. When you want just when they paid the first amount, the 540, they pay one payment.
We are
Man,
we're talking about one man, right? Basically a craft that is coming out
me not the
smelling like
blame him. I not
roses.
the blame him. I
And,
not the
and
blame him.
all right, but that he with the top, but that he involved in all
Yes,
these deals.
yes,
How
I
would you
do.
feel if he was picked up and put in jail? So something that some that is alleged to have committed somewhere else, but without the due process, would you stand and fight for him? Then would you,
Of course.
or would you figure, boy, well,
No, no,
you
no,
know,
no work so. No
it,
work so. We
work
have to
out?
be we in Belize, we have to be a people that stand up for justice, to
And
stand up for right. Well, we
do
have
we
to
do
do it.
that or only conditionally?
We have to do it, man. That's why me and you to have this discussion right now because you feel
Yeah,
like
but you
I would fight for him the same way I'd fight for anybody else. Due process, you're entitled to that, man. Because there's an old saying, to death for you, tomorrow for me.
there's another old saying: the
I have
ends
children.
justify the means.
No, that's not how democracy works. No. That's a different type of, that's a totally
No,
different
it's an
thing.
old saying, nevertheless.
See,
Since you're going to old sayings, no,
no, we're not all will saying, the sensibleness.
that is true. I
The
agree.
world has changed. So
Mr.
I get that
Chairman,
off my chest so that
Mr.
I could
Chairman,
come through it.
yeah, be careful with that end justify the means.
True? Yeah.
That came from Machiavelli here.
Yeah.
And it doesn't operate like that in every case. But let me come back to something
But
here.
there are some cases when it does fit, don't you think? Don't you think there are some cases?
Not to violate the rights of citizens, not to trample upon justice and fairness. We don't want that. Joe is
I
correct.
believe, Mr. Chairman,
Nikolai
So,
Machiavelli.
so what you're saying though is forget everything, and we're talking about Budna now. Forget everything he has done because the process is more important than the progress that's made when
No,
something like this is done.
man, listen, listen. We are a nation of laws.
right.
Yeah, that's easy to say, but you are right now saying that some of those
We are
laws
a
are
nation
unjust.
of laws. We are a nation of laws. A man is wanted by Guatemala. They need to just make a request and go through the procedure.
But
That
they've
is
been
not.
here 6 years doing lives on
No
TV
request
every
no
night.
come.
Mr.
No request
Chairman,
no come.
How do we know all of this, the
You
kid?
can
hear
I,
anybody that say
Mr.
that?
Chairman, can I come in? I want to reinforce something. When it comes to constitutions, democratic constitutions, what have been established? 7 principles that define constitution. They know all of them over the world. The first one they mention is to establish the rule of law. And I think that however character you may be, even by the court making decisions against you, it doesn't mean that because you had committed crimes before, just and whether suspicion, reasonable suspicion, one must be taken when there should be probable cause. That is not upholding the rule of law, my brother. You want to tell me that because I have a bad record and somebody said, boy, I did something wrong, if you come pick me up and lock me up. Mr. Chairman, you know why I am fighting against the 13th Amendment? It's because it is definitely dangerous. It is going against the establishing of the rule of law. And
Okay.
and this. You see those things that he was mentioning from the budget. I had this discussion many times. If we stop and we begin to analyze the budget indeed, and we look at those money that we are paying out, and we look at those revenues that we are collecting, we'll get a better understanding as to how we are being governed. When he was speaking about those millions just now, just look at the 600 million indeed that came through the Petro Caribe Fund. And look at the money that was allocated to the human development and family support or the childhood ministry. It's only a pittance. It is telling us that you are prepared to put up 125 million, and I'm using that intentionally, for a road that will lead you to almost only where a few rich people can go. But you refuse to put in $8 million, maybe, on a zone in the south side of the city. Mr. Chairman, we have to come now, and it's time that we begin to account. And yes, I will continue to say, I, Joe Coy, support the principle that define the purpose of the PUP, and I remain committed to that. But my loyalty is first to the citizens of this country, and we have to begin to now ask ourselves, are some of us that are part of the problem rather than to the solution? I have seen many.
So we who are the victims are now the problem and a part of the problem.
Somebody said
Oh,
that.
what I want to emphasize here, I have seen many good men, at least on the face of it, that when they are in opposition, the government is corrupt because of the use of public funds. But when they are in government and they benefit from the same things, they say it's good governance. What I am trying to get over, Mr. Chairman, it is not anymore about party politics. It's about we as citizens begin to look at how upright we are and
All right.
begin to deal with those causes of a problem.
May I? Because and I listen to every time I try to say something, horror shut me down. A lot of gaslighting to go on with the deal with things where not even the part of the conversation that we're having. We hear about all the money, we hear about the Bulwark report, all of that. Where at some point, or is it not safe enough to maybe look at those people who are committing the crime and say, maybe if we stop commit some of these crimes, we won't need to even consider drastic measures? Or is that too dangerous to do?
Oh, what we need to do is to do exactly what you say we should do. But what we need to talk about is how we're going to do it.
Right.
Yeah, that's why we need to talk
So,
about
but what we need to, because
and
many
how we're
times
going.
we're spending a lot of times hammering on the law enforcement, the things they're trying to do, which is many instances just a response to a cry from the people. Now, the
Well,
people are the people just crying needlessly? Are they crying wolf? Is there nothing going on that they ought to be concerned about? Or is there some things that we should be concerned about?
Man, the people are right. Crime is a problem. Violent crime is a problem. Gangs are a problem. We can't blame people. But we, the leaders, this is the difference between the people out there and those who offer themselves for leadership. You can't be the shepherd and then in time something happen, you blame the sheep.
But this is what I'm saying.
You know
This
business
is
to be
what
a
I
shepherd.
this is what I hear happening though. That the sheep they get blame indeed. Um,
Nobody blame the sheep, man. Come on, G Mike, man. Hey, people out there on the streets who they fight just to get food on the table and so you
right,
blame them.
right, right,
You can't
right,
blame them. But they are right when they say that we're not happy with how the country they run.
right.
We want to
But
feel
but
safe in
but
our
but
own
but but, ca-
country.
but can you really tie those two in together? Do you think that because the country is not being run right, then we need to look at the other way when crimes are committed or when things seem to
Nobody
get
that said
out of
that.
hand?
Nobody that said that. No, no, I don't hear
But
nobody that said
that
that.
I kind of like to hear only indication towards that
No,
end
no,
there.
nobody, no sensible citizen will say that. Nobody
Can I
they
make
try
a
and look the
suggestion?
other way.
Can I
So
make a
what?
suggestion here, Mr. Chairman, for the solution? Are you prepared to try to reach out? And I will make an assumption. I will assume that the government is sincere in what it wants to do. But I think it is our obligation to prove the government sincerely wrong. So therefore, can we say this? Let's assume that the Minister of Police is sincere in what he wants to do. Why can't we invite him on this show or try to arrange for a meeting with him, a few of us, as good citizens, and have a discussion with him to let him explain to this nation why he believes that what he's doing is the right thing. And let us humbly and respectfully explain to the nation why we believe you are not to go that way. You
Do
see,
you
we could be
do
a
you think do you think this is coming from the commissioner of police an attempt to pass this amendment? Is that is he the brain behind that?
well, to suggest who initiated it and whether he's the brain behind it, is not so much the issue. The issue is that they have come to a stage where, given the constitution as it is now, a two-third majority can pass it, and they have the two-third majority. What is of concern to me also, and I need to give me just 1 minute to voice this serious concern. Here we are, coming to the end of what we call the reform or a review of the Constitution. And at this time, we are looking to amend the Constitution to limit the rights by a two-thirds majority. What constitutions are doing today, Mr. Chairman, robust democracies, is that no parliament can ever amend a constitution in robust democracies. It got to be through the ballots. You got to go to the people for a referendum to amend the fundamentals of your constitution. No. They are saying that when they come forward with the proposals for changes, there will be a referendum. Why not have a referendum now on the 13th Amendment?
That is a good
All right.
suggestion.
For the 13th Amendment.
Would you be okay with that, Dickie? And should the people say, because a lot of people will holler and scream and shout, and then when they go in at the polling booth, do a different thing. Would you, Dickie, be in favor of the 13th Amendment being put to the people in a referendum?
No.
Why not?
Well, it's I take up too much of your show, but let me start here. Let me tell you first of all, the fundamental rights that are in the Constitution and the protections we all enjoy, which is not like peculiar to us, and not like we got a strange Constitution. This is all over the world. This follows the United Nations Charter of Rights. This follows a whole lot of things. Rights, once given in constitutional law, cannot be taken away. They're actually putting in this 13th Amendment. It's so worthless a document that if anybody's rights were violated from the first time they did a state of emergency to now in 2025, this amendment bars them from going to court. They cannot go to court. Do you know the present Constitution, which they are not amending, has Section 20, which guarantees every person. Section 20, which I'll take a picture and send it to you right after the show. Section 20 guarantees all of us that if your right had been violated, if your right is being violated, if your right is likely to be violated, any of the likely situations, Section 20 guarantees you can go to court to seek justice. How can you want to have that in one section of the Constitution and want to put in our next section of the Constitution that none of them could ever try to go to no court on this matter? That shows the pig head.
Dickie, let me ask you the pertinent question here. Is the 13th Amendment actually saying that the government can just pick up anybody they want and put them in jail without a trial?
Yes.
Is that what the 13 is saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. But in specific areas, correct? Not countrywide.
But they could declare any area a special area.
But that's already in the Constitution. They can declare can't they just declare a state of emergency?
A state of emergency can only be declared if there is a war, an earthquake, an insurrection, and
have those 18 times that they did it, was it any of that 18 in the case of what was said, or did they break the Constitution every time?
Every 18 of them, they follow one another to the T.
So
we are dealing. Listen, this is a very serious matter,
I'm not trivializing the matter. Can you be accusatory at times, and it's unfair because I'm just trying to clarify this thing, and and I don't then become the object. I didn't like me right.
You support Bukele, so you and I are on different sides of the coin.
How do you know I support? How do you know I support Bukele?
Just
as I mentioned, I am not accusing you. of
How
not.
you
You
know?
are accusing me of supporting him. I am not accusing you of not
How,
supporting him.
how you know that I do not support the
This is
13th
what I'm
Amendment?
saying. Well,
Hold on. How you
what,
know
what,
I don't support the 13th?
well, you've been very clear on that in every
Yes,
every
but
every present.
you are clear until
No,
you
no.
speak.
All I did was mention my name. You know, you
Yeah,
remind me. I saw a show the other day with Candace Owen. Have you ever seen? And allow me to speak about something other than with Candace Owen was having a conversation with a rabbi, and the rabbi accused her of um, and she just mentioned the word Hitler, and you're anti-Semitic. You refer to Hitler doesn't mean because I just say Bukele that I am supporting Bukele. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that here's an example of somebody that has tried something like this. You have said, Joe has said, there's nowhere in the world where that the crime has ever been fought and won through these kinds of draconian measures. I'm saying maybe Bukele is an example that because there are people who have been. I have a friend of mine that just returned from Salvador, and he's telling me that things are much different. Their children are going to school without fare now. They're walking the streets. They said the only problem they got that everybody broke. So they'll probably go back again to the same problem because now, as Joe is saying, it's the failure of the state. And that I agree with.
But Mr. Chairman, I think I need to qualify a position here. I would never say that you cannot address crime the way you would want to do it with the 13th Amendment. I would not say that. I
I
am
thought you
saying
did.
no,
I
I am
thought you did.
no, hold on, I'm gonna qualify that. I am saying that in democratic societies where the rule of law is dominant to our style of governance, it is contrary to good governance and to the rule of law. That's what I'm saying.
And you
So,
will defend. You will
well,
defend the law.
let me finish. If tomorrow we go the way of Bukele or Mussolini or Hitler, we can stop crime. But what will happen to your rights? Finish. So you
And
want
so,
to trade?
so
You
it's
want?
not.
Do
That's
you
not a.
want? No.
You
Do you
don't think
want to
that's a,
trade?
a trade-off.
No,
You don't
Mr.
think that's
Chairman,
any.
are you prepared to trade your rights what you have in this constitution just to stop guns?
Boy, I tell you what. If you're saving lives, I will have to support any measure. It would have to be temporary until things get under control. And this, but if we put it in the constitution, it's permanent. I understand that part. You're adamant about the rule of law. If this goes in and becomes law, would you also be willing to stand up and defend it then? Because it would be law. And if you just talk about law, then the law exists.
Mr. Chairman.
Make I interject. Me
Yeah, Mr.
interject. Speaking about the law, my second favorite writer in one of his books, Charles, in one of his books, he says that the law is an ass, and I support that. Speaking
The
of the
law,
law,
the law
the
is
law
what?
is an ass, an ass, a
Ass.
jackass, a jackass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
The law, listen, it was the law that white slave masters can have slaves,
All right.
that they could take a human being, chain her up, beat her, whop her, do all kind of
I
things
like where you're going
because
with this
it
one.
was the law.
Correct.
So when you jump up and holler, well, it's the law, would you go against the law? Whenever the law is wrong, we have a duty to go against the law.
Exactly.
That's what human beings have been fighting for all over the world.
Uh-huh.
Right.
But so then
You think because they make it a law that means it's right?
but you are
No.
here now. You are no. But you are here saying that the rule of law. That is
That is
what
a
you are using to defend Budna
rule.
because the law was violated. It doesn't matter whether that law provides for
That's
the
what we're
better.
saying.
No,
Yes,
no,
that's
but
what
Mr.
we're
Chairman,
saying.
Mr. Chairman,
Joe. Yes, go ahead, Joe. But
it's important that I come in.
you can't gang up on me like that. All right.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
no. It's important to
All of
come
a
in.
sudden, you're the victim, G, man.
You see, you done that wrong, right?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah. Yeah.
when we speak of the rule of law, it presupposes that the rule of law must be fair and just. There must be good laws. So it's not just a rule of law being said in a vacuum.
Let me
When
read.
when we speak of the rule of law, it presupposes that there must be good laws. And not
Let
any
me
law.
let me read something from this book that I have in front of me. This is part two: protection of fundamental rights and freedom. Whereas every person in Belize is entitled to fundamental rights and freedoms of the individual, that is to say, the right, whatever his race, place of origin, political opinion, color, creed, or sex. But, but, subject to respect for the rights and freedoms of others and for the public interest to each and all of the family following, namely life, liberty, security of person, and the protection of the law. How do you reconcile that with people
There's
being
nothing. There's
aggressed
nothing.
and
There's
crime
nothing.
committed,
There's
children
none. There's
being
nothing. There
violated?
is nothing to reconcile.
Yeah.
The
That is,
rule of law requires that the fundamental principles and the fundamental freedoms of human beings and the protection of the institutions that make the state viable and trustworthy. When it comes to those things, we all support that. Everybody have rights, everybody. But
That's right.
listen, but
Even the
listen,
innocence.
listen. My right no more important than your right. My right stops when it buck up on your right. So I have a right to freedom of expression. I have a right to say anything I want to say. But I cannot slander your reputation. I cannot libel your reputation. So my right is not an absolute right that I could do that. You
exactly.
see? And
That's
that applies in all cases. It doesn't mean because some people ball and holler, hang me, what then with cat o' nine tail today? That no means say that they have somehow a right that you could hang people and what them. No man, that is an opinion. That is a different matter altogether.
yeah.
The fact that people are in fear, the fact that people are frightened over this endless shooting and anybody could get shot and anybody could get killed. That fear is genuine, but you can't give in to that kind of feeling because we just recently hear you they express it that because Budna is a worthless, no good dog, it no matter how they get across the Guatemala because he na nothing, he na nobody. No, the state have a duty to uphold the law, the rule of law. As Joe keep
Listen,
emphasizing,
listen. I
requires
understand.
us as a society. The rule of law requires us as a society to
I
follow the law. Follow the law. All we have to
I
do.
understand the slippery slope that you're suggesting we can be
Good,
climbing
good,
on
good,
because of this. I understand all of that.
good.
But again, though, I'm thinking that you have you're we're picking apart our government, our security forces. We are putting them now. They not the little kids that were boogered, not the 14-year-old that he went to jail for 10 years in Belize, not Guatemala, not the victims of
That
the
have to do
kidnapping.
with
Hold on. Can I finish? Because I have a point
no,
too to
because
make.
you said it already. You said it already. You can't look at what the individual human being has done and make that be an excuse for breaking a bigger law, more important law. The state
Again, you're pointing to this law as because it's a law. It has to be sacrosanct. Joe is saying that and you yourself said if the law is not helping, then we have to look at the law again. Is that
the
not correct?
state can't go around kidnapping and abducting people, man. That is a no. We
But
have
you
to get
don't
some.
have no proof that the state has said
That
that.
is
No,
a
we do,
different.
Dickie.
That is a different
So you don't believe.
argumentation.
You believe Budna. You do not believe the state.
No, man,
This
I
is
don't
what you're
study
saying.
no Buddha. You
But the
asked that
Budna said
question.
that. The Budna said.
Papacito, you bring that up already, and I told
I,
you that
I don't care how many times I bring it up. It's true. You have brought up things 2 or 3 times yourself.
I
Don't, what,
told
what
you.
that, don't come to accuse me of things and beat up. You know what shut me up with that. You're
Nobody
the
said
liar, me brother. You're the
you're the
liar,
quarrel.
me.
You're the quarrel. You're the quarrel.
Yeah, I know.
Veteran, I,
Now we
You,
argue. We argue.
you
We argue.
listen,
yeah,
We
listen.
I think
argue.
You
But
bring
I'm being as
listen.
emphatic as you
Aye,
are.
man. You bring
but
it up already, and I told you. Now study where Buddha say. Eyewitnesses in Orange Walk saw what they saw. People say there are police officers in the force who they talk. They know
Dickie,
what all
Dickie,
happened.
They
Let
can
us
you.
listen. You can't exonerate the whole government and the whole police department because we don't know all the facts, but we know who. Listen, who else would pick up a man and carry away the arenal and just
You
put him in
know a
prison?
bounty hunter.
He and just left on up and the field making the walk out so some police the pass and see, that don't make any sense to you. So
Yes, it
we could
does.
discuss that, but that is not the issue. That's not the issue. The issue is, and I'll put the big if to satisfy you. If the police department or elements in the police department put on masks, use vehicles, and go and abduct a citizen, that is a frightening thing in our society. Only one time, G Mike and your listeners and viewers, and I say Gregory Morrison, I don't know if he wants to get in on the show. One cannot disregard the Constitution and violate individual civil rights. Yes,
Of
Greg, you're
course, you
correct.
let him in because he
So,
agrees with you.
so
I wonder if you
listen,
may read that if he may disagree with you. And
listen to this.
yourself, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Listen to this part here. Only one time that we know of. One time where I'm going to call his name because it's a legal precedent. Well, maybe I shouldn't. But the commissioner of police at the time, Mr. Carmen Zetina, when the police department was sued for taking a man, abducting him under a false pretense, they gone to the house to Bilama one night, telling there's some problem with his license firearm. They need to see him at the station. They took him to Queen Street Police Station, where he was strung, handcuffed, and taken to the airport, and an American plane flew him to America, and he spent 27 years of his life in jail. That's the only time we know that the state did not follow the law. You want to pick up somebody for drugs or a murder in America, there's a simple procedure, my boy. Just make the request. We must be very, very vigilant. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. If there's anybody in the police department who did what they're accused of doing, that is a serious matter. The second serious matter, my brother, my beloved brother, the police can't investigate themselves. We can't, as a society, sit back and hear the police say. Listen to what they say.
Yeah, but let me get in a point at some point.
Make a finish.
I know because you could talk until you make your point, but you shouldn't talk till you convince me that your point
No,
is correct.
I know
Let the point do that.
I know the try convention. We are having a conversation. This is
Yeah,
my view.
yeah.
The police have said, please, man, give me one chance to finish the investigation now, and then we can share it with you all. But I want to understand that neither we, the high command of the police, or the police are involved in the matter. No, we don't prejudge the investigation already. That's another thing.
You know, and I'm going there and make you accuse me of defending because that's not my job anymore. There's a time when it was my job. But let me ask you something, because you've been out there for a while, and before you jump down my throat, because we're not a quarrel, but when you not allow me to talk, then I kind of like try to get in. No. Would you admit that there are many people out there who are so anti-establishment that anything that the police says or the government say, they will go against and do not believe, try knock it down, and if any citizen
I
comes
admit
up
it.
and
I admit it. I agree.
right, and if any citizen jumps
I
up and
agree.
say, "Why that the police?" They will get on that side and believe that more quickly than will believe what the
I agree.
police say or what
Yeah.
the government says.
But
I
So,
agree.
Chairman, yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think you should
I agree.
disregard such irrational behavior. We are not
Yeah.
here to discuss such irrational.
Yeah.
I am one to say that
but,
obviously we
but
would
hold on,
want
because you never even let me finish the point. But what do you mean irrational behavior? What are you talking about?
Some people resort to irrational behavior, but
All
your
right.
leader, Leonard Brackett, is on the show. He says the Constitution of Belize, Section 2. This Constitution is the supreme law of Belize. If any other law is inconsistent with this Constitution, then that other law, to the extent of its inconsistency, is void. Very important, Mr. Brackett.
How do
Very
you tie
important.
that into the conversation we're having?
Because you are putting forward a law which is saying people who have been wronged and violated can't go to court. That is not acceptable.
That is what the 13th Amendment is saying.
Yes, 100%.
But yes, and that is against the Constitution because it does say in that section that there's a certain period of time, even in a state of emergency, where they have to be taken to court.
No, it
But
don't say
is
that.
that
But it don't say that. It
hold
does
on,
not
hold on?
say that.
Does,
It
does not
says, it
it
says,
say
it
what?
says, listen, man,
It
let I
says
tell
what?
you. It says that those persons who have gone to court, it can't interfere with for their right to already gone to court and get a judgment up to the 26th of May or something like that. You know they say that what you're saying?
I think the chairman might be referring to the proposed amendment.
Yeah, that's the question.
Actually,
Yeah,
no.
Yes.
I am
after
referring to
a
the
period,
Constitution.
after a
I
period,
am sure I read shall unless revoked remain in force for a period. All right, that is the proclamation. But
right?
there is something that says
I think the chairman is
providing
right. I
they
think it's
have to go to court. There's a period of time.
right.
Uh,
That's
No.
correct.
No.
when a person is detained by virtue of a law that authorizes the taking during a period of public emergency of measures that are reasonably justifiable for the purpose of dealing with the situation that exists in Belize during that under emergency period, the following provisions shall apply. That is to say, he shall, shall know, with reasonable promptitude, and in any case, not more than 7 days after the commencement of his detention, be informed in a language that he understands on the grounds upon which he is detained and furnished with a written statement in English specifying the particulars of those grounds.
Yeah, but
Now,
that
is
doesn't.
that
That
is
is not
not
what.
what saying what I am saying?
Yeah, that's not what you're saying. You're saying that the Constitution allow one time for you to get in your claim.
No. I didn't say that. I
What are
said
you
the
saying?
Constitution provides for you to be taken to court. You say them and go straight to jail and not go to court.
The proposal is that they can pick you up, no court, no charge, and take you straight to jail.
That's right.
And the
And
period,
that so then that means this part of the Constitution would not apply. They will
no,
move
that
that out
only
altogether.
that is restricted to state of emergency. Then they make their own state of emergency.
Okay, so then if this is restricted to that, then it would have to apply to that, don't you think?
No man, then they make their own state. They call it a special area. They are ignoring the Constitution because the court said they violate it. Then they
But
make their own.
I have heard some people discuss this from the police department, and
Look
that's
who
not
they
what they're
listen
saying.
to. Look who
But
they
who
listen to.
you'd rather listen to the ones that say they're bad because
No, why
that's
you
the
want to the
popular
next?
way,
Why you
right?
gone to the next extreme? Why you
Well,
gone to the next extreme?
but that's the way we are, Dickie. But
You
you're
have the
saying
constitution. Hold on. You have the Constitution in front of you. Go to section 5, subsection 3. It's important for all of us. Go to 5, section 5, subsection 3.
5. Where are they? No, the way
It
that
is
way.
saying, let me pre-say it first and then you could share with your viewers. At the top of 5, it says protection of your right to your liberty. Yes?
Uh-huh.
All right. Section 5.3 deals with an area where when a person is detained or arrested, the Constitution is saying this, that when a person is detained or arrested in relation to a court and the other one is that he's suspected of having committed or likely to commit a crime, he is to. You did a 5G or no?
And that B, upon reasonable suspicion of his having committed or
Yeah.
being about to commit a
Yeah.
criminal offense under
Go
any
on.
law.
Yeah, but the other part was important for me. Go on. Then
And
what?
who is not released shall
Right.
be brought before a court without undue delay, and in any case not later than 48 hours after such arrest or detention.
That
Of
is the
course,
country. Yeah. That
yeah.
is hold on. That is the Constitution of Belize as it stands now.
Uh-huh.
The Constitution is making provisions for when the police are in their crime fighting processes and they have reasonable grounds to suspect that you have committed a crime or about to commit a crime. They can detain and arrest you, but they must, without undue delay, without undue delay, take you before a court no longer than 48 hours. That is the law. That is what the law is in all
Let me
democratic.
let me read, Mr. Morrison, because you guys are singing from the same song sheet, and it's a dirty tune. The government need to request Guatemala to return Mr. Budna, and they can then present an extradition warrant if they desire to have him face the charge of escape and continue the sentence. Right. We no got nothing else to do. We no got no reason to spend no money. Let us do it on this man, a convicted pedophile, a man in whose presence a man was killed. I don't see it's worth it. We could spark one international incident. We could give them an October 7th then, okay? But it's all right because due process is what's important and the only thing important. Am I clear here on this point?
You sound like Bukele to me, but
Mr.
that's only my opinion. No?
Chairman, can I ask you a question?
Yes,
On
sir.
this matter of the Budna thing.
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you know for a fact that Budna was removed from this country in accordance with our laws?
I don't know for a fact what happened. None of us know.
Good. All right.
We're speculating and we're going. Dickie is going by what a few witnesses he says. Have you spoken to these witnesses, Dickie?
Yes,
Or,
and I
or
spoke,
somebody
yes, and
tell you?
listen. I talked to the policeman who know what it happened to.
So that there are police officers who know what happened. Have they been brought forth? I mean,
They can't brought forth. They were instructed to back off.
Did-
How
did
you
they-
so- how
did
you
they-
are so trusting? Listen,
how are you so untrusting, my brother? What kind of society you gonna live in if we have no at all respect for authority or no kind of
Who
trust?
said that?
Better with you. You were saying that.
How all of a sudden they said
Well,
that?
you asked me how I'm so trusting because I'm saying neck will wait to the evidence. They have camera footage. Apparently, there were
All
cameras
right,
in the area.
all right, nothing wrong with that.
Have
That
you
is a
seen that footage, Dickie?
I asked you to read section 5, subsection 3
But
because
that footage is not. That
I
footage is
want-
not in there.
If what?
The footage is not in there that we talk about. What
The
is
what?
going to prove that footage that's going to prove what happened with Budna? I read that,
You
and
know the talk
I
about Budna.
and I could go your route and say, but you say it already. But I'm not going there. You can repeat
No,
it as many
because-
times as you want.
Because my brother, the Constitution, the supreme law, sets out the procedure where you detain and arrest people. There is no other procedure. You can't make them bring no 13th Amendment with them and declare that from this street to that street is a special area and go with people, and they don't have no right to go in front of a court within 48 hours. They don't have no right to know what they are being accused of. They don't have no right to say, this is my side of the story. That is what I'm trying to prove. I'm trying to prove to you that our laws, the supreme law, as Mr. Brackett has pointed out, lays down a procedure for all of us. More important, to lay down the procedure for the police.
So
You can only go and pick up somebody if there's grounds that they have committed or about to commit a crime. And when you deprive them of their liberty, you must take them to court no later than 48 hours.
But-
You want us to sanction a new proposal that they can
But see, not go there, man.
any
Not go there.
area-
That not me one that the government
No,
they
you
propose it.
know
Yeah, cause you accuse me the whole show, man. You want the show end now with people said, why G Mike is there promoting the 13th Amendment? I am not. I'm trying to get clear on the matter.
Good. We're there with you.
So can I say, Mr. Chairman, that you're still neutral?
Yes,
That makes it where I'm at. My point is that something has to be done. The people are clamoring for something to be done.
Yes.
That is what the government exists to do whatever is necessary to secure the freedom and justice for people, all the people.
Lawfully, and within the bounds of the Constitution.
Well,
Don't go and change the Constitution for
Which in your opinion,
I would advise you to be cautious in being neutral. But the mayor had a saying. He said those who are neutral will live to regret that neutrality. You got to take a position, Mr. Chairman.
I have to take Diggy position on this one. I said many people have said many things. It's not necessarily always true.
Now take a position, not the keyword necessarily.
But how you what where you want to tell me if you take a position when I don't even know what position what I'm
Let me,
taking a position. I don't know entirely what the 13th Constitution the amendment is.
I
In
agree with
fact,
that.
I think Dick is being totally unfair because he's so much against it. He even the gaslight for make it seem that it's so bad. And
You don't have to.
I'm
You
telling
don't
you,
have to defend yourself because you're neutral and you're doing a good job.
I don't mind. I
But
don't mind, and there's no defense.
there is a principle I want to come back to. These principles are good to remember. Whenever you want to avoid a harm, and it's based on the cost benefit analysis principle. When you want to avoid a harm, the price you're going to pay must be justified. So the harm that you are seeing is what is coming to us through the gangs.
Well,
Now, can the amendment of this constitution justify that kind of harm you want to avoid?
what is more important, avoiding the harm or making sure that you do it? That not like when no one get the egg from the pot to the table, one get it in a special glove in a special pot. What are you saying here?
I am saying to
Is
you
it
that
more
if you want,
important?
I am saying to you, Mr. Chairman, if you want to avoid the harm that can come to you from the house fly, don't use a sledgehammer, use a fly squad. That's what I'm trying to get over.
All right. So the government they overreach. You think they have an overreaction on their part? Um,
I think they are quite sincere in what they want to do, but I am convinced that in this case they are sincerely wrong. That's what I'm saying. And maybe we should try to have the minister on this show or to have him in a meeting.
do you agree that there are people out there, not everybody certainly, because there are many people who like you and Dickie would prefer to take the side of the criminals, but do you think there are people out there who are really I mean sincerely asking for something to be done that we can live in a safer society?
All right, let me put the question back to you this way.
But you made a low blow.
The
We
person-
are not on the side of the
But,
criminal.
but
but
hold on.
you have made a I
Hold on.
deserve
Hold on.
one. You have made a few yourself tonight. Go ahead.
Now let me answer that. Now, let me answer that, Mr. Chairman. This person is known to be a criminal, one of the most vicious criminals. Now he commits a crime. There is reasonable suspicion to believe he committed a crime. Is that sufficient to avoid due process and just put him in jail because he's known to be a despicable character?
I hear you, and I know. I don't think that. No, that's not.
Therefore, the next question I would have asked you, and that's one I followed up. If it comes to the attention of this nation, despite what is said to be about Budna as this despicable character, but he was removed contrary to the rule of law of this country, do you believe that because he is despicable, it was right for them to have done it?
May I answer? May I say something?
Yeah, the question
I
I'm asking.
First of all, it has not been proven that he was removed. I don't believe that just because you get a witness one of Budna's friend in Orange Walk will say that the police do it, or that you got Budna said that the police do it. The police is saying we had nothing to do with it. The government is saying we did not extradite Budna in a legal or illegal way. He happened to go to Guatemala, and in my opinion, it worked out better. He went to jail because he was already doing a 25-year jail. Dickie, if you want to go over there and try appeal that and see, maybe you could win the manually.
Well, let me bring out the point. Let me bring out the point now clearly to you, as lucid as I can. The point I wanted to make, and I'm beginning to forget it now, but the point I wanted to make is simple this. Somehow I get the belief that some of us out here happen to hear about Budna and know about Budna as being a bad character. And in their minds, you need not apply the rule of law to him, deal with him. That is some of them thinking that way. Hold on, and then you have others who prepare to say, "Well, let's find out really what really happened.
Okay.
Find out what really happened to him before we make a decision."
And they are neutral, and you don't agree with them. They should be neutral.
No, that's not neutrality.
What is that? What is that?
No, what you are doing.
What is that? Can I could go either way?
No, what you are doing, you are consciously, deliberately, and your obligation as a citizen is to try to find the facts and the truth.
Okay. Okay.
So therefore, if Mr. Bradley, who is saying that he has evidence to show why he believed that it was done wrongly, then at this moment I cannot argue against him because I don't have any. But if we believe that Buddha was a bad man, and it's in that basis I want to go against Buddha, then I can say Mr. Bradley is not telling the truth, or that Mr. Bradley doesn't know what he's talking about. So we
Yeah,
need to be careful how we rationalize these
yeah,
things.
yeah, but hold on. Tell me, Sonny, if you know Dickie to be a habitual liar, you know that he lies a lot. Would you believe everything he says, or would you take it with a grain of salt?
No, if the kid is a habitual liar, and the kid
Ah,
tell me
no liar, I said liar. Sorry, I said liar, no liar.
yeah, liar. If he's a
I'm a
habitual
liar.
liar, and the
Listen,
kid tell me this, and the kid,
No.
and the kid wake up this morning and he said, Joe boy, look out at the sun they shine. You think I don't want to believe her? He
let's
tell me the sun they shine, somebody a habitual liar. So I said, no, not true. The kid lie, the sun they shine.
Well, if
excellent
you're in a
point,
dark room, I
excellent
bet you,
point,
check.
Joe. Excellent point, Joe.
No, Mr. Chairman,
Can I
let me
mention
leave
this?
this one with you for the liar too.
Can I mention
You
this?
have something where they call circumstantial, right? No.
Yeah.
I got up the morning, and when I look at my street, the street look wet, and I see some water like in the drain. And I said, boy, it looked like we had some heavy rains last night. But suppose now, I woke up the night, and when I woke up, there was heavy rain. Which one is the more stronger evidence? I saw the rain the night when I woke up. I didn't saw the result of it in the street. What I am saying to you, we have varying types of evidence. Mr. Bradley is saying that he has evidence. Why he believe what he's saying? No, what evidence we have to say he's not telling the truth?
I hear only background. Somebody got something on in the background. I see why Mike mutes it. I know he.
So I would maybe say Mr. Bradley is not telling the truth. If I am a
let
person
me
that believe that Buddha is a bad man and I think we should deal with him.
let me
That's the kind of
let me say
irrational
this.
behavior I don't want to subscribe to.
Let me say this clearly, and I'm not going to back off at this point because I've thought about this. Budna, whether I don't know who took Budna to the border, it might very well have been some off-duty police officers. Um, the police are saying they're not they're not involved in that. I am saying it's not worth it to me, knowing the character of the individual and the fact that he did escape from prison in Guatemala. We know, in good faith, should have, while this man was doing these lives, abducted him himself and say, listen, we are Guatemala, you got enough evidence, we could ask them that. Do you have enough evidence that this man was involved in these kidnappings that you accused him of? Necklaces on the events, even if we have to send a Dickie over there to check it and try the man case itself.
Well,
But barring that, I am saying it's not worth the expense and the stress, all the problems that we're going through
all
for
right,
dealing with this.
can I follow up and I say circumstantial? It is said that Buddha was wanted in Guatemala. Is
Yes,
that so?
that
No,
is so.
if I'm wanted in Guatemala, why would I leave Belize to go over there? If
But,
I am
but,
wanted in Guatemala, no,
hold
why
up, hold
would
up.
I voluntarily
Hold up,
leave
hold
Belize?
up. Nobody said he left Belize voluntarily. I believe he
Therefore,
was taken there.
I'm going for circumstantial evidence and reasoning.
What's
If,
this?
if he's wanted in Guatemala,
Yes.
why will he go over there voluntarily?
Why? Why? Yes, that's a good question.
So
Why?
therefore, if rational, if circumstantial evidence suggests
Uh-huh.
that he did not go over there,
Right.
then how did he get there?
A bounty hunter. They have since the Western, you know what's called why movie?
No, no, yeah,
They
they had
have
bounty
bounty.
hunter. So you are saying it could have been
So
a
the
bounty hunter.
I'm saying that.
All right, so
okay,
the bounty hunter could have been who?
the bounty hunter will take him and let him go in so
How you know that? How you know that? How
I
can
was
you say
trying to
that?
reach. I'm going to try
Carry
rationalize.
on, deliver to the people. How else you gonna get your money? You're not carrying on left in no way.
he was
You
not
get your
delivered
money,
to know he was not delivered. You know, read where the Guatemalan police said they have a written statement that
and
they
you
delivered
believe
him.
that. You believe that, but you don't believe for we police.
We
You
police
believe
said,
their police.
listen, hold on, we're going one at a time.
Yes, that what we there.
You believe that the Guatemalans see a person, they wander about, and when they stop and check on, disoriented, and then decide to hold on to and later find out that they wanted. A bounty hunter will carry a man,
Whoa, 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 whoa. Sir, do you
but no man
believe
are
that?
over.
You believe that
No
because
man, I'm saying what then they say.
no, all right, that's what I'm saying. But you're saying you believe that
No man, I
because
tell
you
you
to
that.
tell me, you to
I
tell
am
me.
not so quarrelsome, man. I don't say
No,
that. I'm just
hold up.
saying to
No, with the
you.
argue, that's not a
Um,
quarrel. Don't equate the two. It is not a quarrel. It
well,
is an
let me finish.
argument. I
Let
have
me
a
finish.
point. You have a point. That's all it is. Your
I,
point. I'm saying when you can't say something and run past
I,
it, I
I
can
did
question
not.
it.
I did
You
not say I believe them, and I tell you the police from Guatemala
right?
version in writing that is available to us.
Correct. Which means what?
Their version is bullshit. That
Okay.
a man who had been kidnapped either by
Right.
bounty hunters or rogue police
Mm.
or their own intelligence service is just let go in some open area, and then they just happen to be there at the same time. I wonder why this man they walk by himself
So,
and shit.
so you think they're
You
gonna
have for their version. That is their version. Whether you
right?
believe it or not is neither here nor there. The
It has to
issue,
be here or there, Dickie.
no
How can
man,
you
the
say
issue.
that?
Listen, from we started off, we tried to make this point. Joe do it better than me. It don't matter if Budna is the most worthless human being in Belize. That is not the issue. The issue
That
is
is your opinion. That is
our
your
no,
opinion.
this is the law.
No, I have a different.
The
See, no,
government of
again,
Belize.
we go back to this law thing. So if every
Listen,
law is that the law we are deal with, let us deal with. You can't be partial to that, Dickie. You can't be partial to that.
there is the law and then there is bullshit law. We just look on the 13th Amendment as bullshit law. That can't be one law. That really is a law. That really is a law. That you're going to change the constitution so you could pick up. Make I tell you something about pick up people. You might right now have faith in the government and they would never do such a thing. And so you think that any government in the future will not be able to use that law? That when the Caneros then get enough of that American company will stay the chance and then decide, you know what?
You know,
We're gonna bring this to a halt. They just declare the area and pick up everybody. You think what the government have in mind for the Maya down there where they own large amount of land that they have in writing, they will change the law. So when they take the Maya the land, they know pay them market value, they know pay them reasonable price, they pay them
but
the
see,
price. Hold on, make a
but
finish.
you go wrong on Mulberry Bush, and we're not getting to the point, man.
I'm
You're
giving you
not making
example.
a point.
Rascal, I give you an example. Listen,
But I think
when
It,
the,
you
it
put
hurts to not everybody just
when
agree with you and sit down and swallow everything you
no
say,
man,
doesn't it?
nobody, I mean, there's
so,
nobody to agree with me.
Mr. Chairman, can I?
Yes.
There's nobody to
I
agree
think
Yes.
with
what
me.
DK is doing, he's showing you, and he's showing you where the 13th
Hold
Amendment,
on, hold on, hold on,
the
hold on.
13th Amendment can be incipient to the violation of our rights as an
I
individual.
hear that. I hear that. What
And
I'm saying,
I guess when they debate,
hold on, hold on. I'm saying to you, I've heard the Belize police version of the 13th Amendment that
And you
they're
believe
not
them.
going.
And
Oh,
you
but
believe them.
well,
And
you
you
believe
believe
the
them.
You
You
believe the
believe them.
Guatemalan police. You
You
believe the
believe them.
Guatemalan. You believe the Guatemalan
I did
police.
not say that. I
You
told you I don't
just
believe
told
them.
me their version is that Bosman was walking around.
I told you that is their version,
All
man.
right, so I'm telling
Not
you the other version. What's the
yes.
difference?
The other version is I know that the government of Belize, like most government, liar and deceitful. I ask you read section 5.3 because the law in Belize is you can only pick up a citizen when you have reasons to charge him and you must charge him within 48 hours, which they violate every day on the calendar across the country. I'm not going to believe them because they are going to deceive people. They have been told by the courts, they have been ordered to pay many citizens, bad boy off of the street, regular people who have been picked up and allowed to stay in a station and then let go without any charge. They sue and the courts order and they pay the money because they violate the law, but they turn around and do it the next day and the next day and the next day. So I ain't gonna believe what they tell me because they are the lawbreakers too. And I am not too eager to swallow anything which the government says. We have Mr. Trump right there in the biggest, most dynamic democracy on the planet, and you
They
can't
can,
believe anything when he said. So
no,
why you want to believe? Why you
no
want to
good
believe?
them, man, because you could bring one truth in that to justify one falsehood,
Never
and it's
touch
not
that,
going
man.
to
That's
work.
my
That
view.
is a truth. That Trump, that one asshole, that is a truth. But just because Trump is an asshole doesn't mean our government,
I
everything they say is a lie. And
I
this is
know.
what you're trying to make me believe, sir.
No, you want to say that because Budni is a bad man, F the law.
No, I
You
didn't
know,
say
matter
that.
that. You know, matter that
I didn't say that. In
if they
fact,
abduct her and then carry on, that's what you're saying.
the two is not even on the same page. I'm
That's
not
what you're
saying that.
that's
I
what you're
can't. I would
saying.
never say fuck the law. I don't
No,
have the kind of
you don't
because
talk like that. You don't
no.
talk so.
Oh
I
boy, you have not heard me enough.
you
What
don't
I'm
talk
saying,
so.
and you have not rattled me enough on the show for me to talk like
You
that.
don't
But I do it, and I love doing it.
you don't
But
talk so. You Budna is a bad man. What happened to her? He deserve it, and we shouldn't waste no money to try find the truth.
that is true. But
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
that doesn't mean fuck the law. It doesn't mean that. So
That's
you
what.
can't put that in, and that is what is called an ultimate gaslighting. That is not what I'm saying. You can't make I believe I just said that, Dickie.
You are on the side that is on the wrong side. No care how worthless a
Who's
human being.
determination?
Man start
The law
talk.
again. Now the law again.
You start
The
well,
same law
what
were
you to go
worthless.
by? What you to go by? The police law? The police make up law?
No. I'm
Is
going
there a
about
law? Is there
rational. I'm going by a rational thinking.
well
I'm
who
looking
is
at
man
this.
get to Guatemala?
Well,
It doesn't matter.
let me give you what I heard one of them said, a Belizean, and comes over quite rational. He said, "Boy, when he understand is that the Guatemalan tell the government if they turn over Budnawe and drop the claim." That's what he think. He said, "Boy,
Hold on now. Hold on a minute. Would you consider that? Would you consider that proposal?
to give
But
him
they
over
drop
and
the
we
claim.
drop the
Yes.
claim."
Yes.
Let's put,
Let's talk about the law now and the rule
all right.
of law and
Let's
this
let's put it this.
sanctity of the law.
Let's put it this way. Let's suppose, let's suppose it's one of our child that we have to give to Guatemala to drop the claim. Would you do it?
And give him for what? To do a couple years of jail?
No.
It might be worth it.
Okay. So it
But
has nothing to do with the rule of law. A simple
the
transaction.
ends.
No, it's what you call transactional politics. You're the trade. That's transactional politics.
But that no one. That no
No, no. What we want is no. In democratic countries today, in democratic societies, you want transformational leadership, not transactional leadership. Transactional leadership violates constitutions for the purpose of trading. And I am saying that when it comes to the fundamental rights and those principles, those 7 fundamental things that the Constitution is for, we have to defend them, Mr. Chairman.
You say they violate the constitution for trading, for the matter of trading. But I'm not saying about violate anything for trading. But if there's an end, that is, if there's a small violation of this constitution, that would mean the claim is dropped and this matter is settled by what I would consider it, because I'm get rid of the change it anyway.
I never want to go down that road, but let me come back to the issue of avoid the harm at an expense of limiting your rights. Now, that is both a hybrid of subjectivity and objectivity. Now, when you look at the Constitution as it is, and we need to look at it closely, all of the circumstances under which we were asked by this Constitution to do the very thing that the Constitution now would want to do is to limit our rights. The Constitution was never intended to limit your rights. It's to enhance it, it's to advance it, it's to defend it, and to promote it. But the Constitution contemplated that there may be some extreme circumstances, and extreme because those rights are considered to be sacrosanct, Mr. Chairman. And it's the sacrosancy of those rights that the Constitution believes that the circumstances must be so extreme. A hurricane, an earthquake, tornadoes, one infectious disease, the COVID-19, the Black Plague. It is those things the Constitution were talking about. No.
Not crime.
Hold on.
Not crime.
No, it's not referring to crime.
All right, go ahead, go on, continue.
Hold on, I'm gonna finish. Then when they leave the natural causes, with the earthquake and the tornadoes and the hurricanes, and the infectious diseases. There is one area which is sometimes confusing to some of us. It's not about persons or group of persons, but it is not the person or the group of persons. What that constitution is doing there, it is saying when a person, a person or group of persons is committing or is causing such limitation to our rights that we cannot go to church, we cannot go to the we cannot go to the pharmacy, we cannot go to the store, we cannot hold court,
Hospital.
we cannot go to the hospital. It is those circumstances, Mr. Chairman, that the Constitution was saying those are extreme enough circumstances. The harm that is coming to us, we must now limit our rights to save our rights. It is only on those extreme circumstances we have to limit our rights to protect our rights. It's not simple to deal with crime because crime cannot be addressed through the Constitution in the sense of amending it for state of emergency. It must be addressed through the cause. What they want to address are the symptoms. You do not address the symptoms of crime because you won't. It's impossible. Call the state of emergency. Arrest the gang people then. Put them in. 1 month after they come out. You think they change? They will not change.
Eloquently put.
No, that's not eloquently put. What you're suggesting is a whole lot easier said than done. You want to address crime at the root of the crime. You want to stop crime. That is wonderful. That's utopian. How are you going to do it?
Mr. Chairman, what
Raymond Rivers has posted up no 13th Amendment.
Wonderful. That's his opinion. He has a right to that.
Mr. Chairman, let me correct you.
Can I check?
This is not utopian. This is not utopian. It is well within the Constitution for us to address crime through the social economic circumstances. We have it. It is well within the Constitution as it is to do it through the Appropriation Act. That's how we do it.
Listen, all right. we got a few minutes left.
Yeah.
I, in my little corner, I'm trying to address it from my area of expertise in dealing with some of these children in this area. On Sunday, coming the 31st, we are having a back to school. We get enough bags to give away to our children, a little extra. So we're having some games and whatnot. I believe at the end of the day, that sports will be the way out if we get enough. Well, I want to see that these rivalries that they have, instead of one to shoot the next one, they could put two of them in a boxing ring and want to work it out. Bet on it if you don't want. You get one football team from this era, get some football team from this era, and we do it in that way. So I think that the way I think we can try to address it. I don't know. I am not saying to you, let us address it through these draconian measures. I'm not saying let's go to Bukele. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just trying to get clear on what this matter is. And the first question I asked Dickie, and all through the show, I've heard a lot of things, but I've not really heard what the 13th Amendment really is. Because I've heard from the police representatives and the government that it is not what Dickie is saying it will be. They will not simply just pick up anybody for no reason and carry them in a jail without going to court. That would, to me, is extreme. I don't think that's the case. And if that is the case, then yes, it's stupid. We should resist that with every ounce of resistance in our body. But they're saying that's not what it is, and maybe we have to try to get it clear.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think we better clear that before the show ends. And
I don't think we can.
I think Mr. Bradley can speak for himself. But I, for one, will say this. I never hear him say that the 13th Amendment, they give them the power to just go and pick up people and lock them down.
Oh, yes, they did.
All right.
Oh, come on.
No, hold on. I say he can speak for himself. That's not what the 13th Amendment is saying. The 13th Amendment is not saying that. The 13th Amendment is essentially prepared to limit our rights to protect it. But what it is doing, it is saying that when it comes and it respects specifically to crimes related to gangs. So therefore, it is in fact restricting or limiting rights for those who will be arrested for reasonable suspicion of having committed, about to commit, or is committing. So it's not just that they will recklessly, arbitrarily go there and pick up people. That's not what it is saying. But what it is saying, I understand it clearly. It's not what I think we should have. That's my point. You cannot address crime in that manner. That's what I am saying.
But you still not say what it say. You say what it's not saying, but you not say what it is saying.
What
Well,
it is saying,
I
Mr.
just
Chairman,
sent
I
it
will
to
say
you,
it over
G-Man.
and over. What I'm saying, it wants to put in place now a state of emergency that will allow them to do what the state of emergency will allow you to do, except they wanted to do it to address them gang-related crimes. That's what it is.
Are you saying that they just want because they already have it in the constitution that they can declare a state of emergency. They make it clear when, but we know how politicians do it. You might be familiar with that process. They find one way of doing what they want to do, bend the law for or bend the rules as it exists to suit their purpose. I have said this before. If they're gonna designate any area as a crime area, maybe they should start with the House of Representatives, that Lee House on a hill in Belmont, because we deal mostly with blue collar crime here, and that offended me when the Prime Minister pinpointed South Side and certain areas of South Side, because while there's some crimes committed there, that is not the only place that crimes are being committed. So and I don't know if that clarifies my point is I do not still know yet, and Dickie has sent it to me. I want to look at it in detail and try to understand it. I have been hearing this and hearing that and reading. Dickie apparently now has sent me exactly what it says, and I will look at that and we will talk about that again some other time, but I'm in a more informed light, if you will.
Yes, yes.
All right.
That
Now,
is a good
before I go,
approach.
one more thing. While we got a couple of minutes, this hair thing. God, they care to see your hair. Then I tell you, you have to cut your hair before you go to court.
No, boy, that would be interfering with my rights.
All right. Now, do you think that if a school have some rules that a child has to have their hair in a certain way, not necessarily a certain style, I don't think, but a certain length and presentable, that is a violation of their rights?
If you want to impose a different view on how a school student is to appear at classes, so long as it is not interfering with his rights. For example, a child can turn up in the equivalent of what the society would consider a kind of Rasta hairstyle. If the family are Rastafarians and they believe in that feeling, the school cannot, under the law, interfere with the rights of those persons. If the family want to shave off all the hair of their child, the school can't tell them that they cannot do it. So long as the student is presentable and the hair is clean and there's no likelihood of any lice that cross from one student to another, that is acceptable to the law. The days of trying to tell black people you can't have.
But no go there, man. Can you
You
introduce
give
race?
an example.
No,
How you
no,
so
no,
sensitive?
introduce race into
How you
the
so
thing, man.
sensitive?
I am
The
sensitive
days
with that
of
because
trying
I'm
to
tired of that.
control.
I am tired of that.
I know tired
That
of it.
that has nothing to do with this here.
Yes,
You
yes,
you introduce something else that is
yes.
foreign to the subject, man. That's
No,
not fair,
man.
Dickie. Make we deal
Listen,
with that some other time. We could talk about race, prejudice,
they're
all of
not,
that.
they're
But
not race,
at
man.
this
It's an
point,
attitude.
I
It's an
don't. Are you
attitude.
saying that these black schools are then uh, uh, going after people because they're black? Is that what you're saying, Dickie?
You're so sensitive, man.
I
You're
have
so
to be because
sensitive.
when you throw that thing out and then it's supposed to go past
But you
and
know,
then be accepted as fact.
because you're so sensitive, you just blind yourself to what I'm trying to explain to
You
you.
don't explain
Make
it,
I
but
try,
you,
make I try explain to you.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Remember.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
You don't
no.
remember.
Say,
Make I,
no,
Now,
no, no.
you also want
I,
to see
I
some
got.
with an afro hair,
make I
do?
give you an example.
You
Give
also
you an
want to
example.
see some with an
When
afro
I
hair,
was,
do?
But
hold on,
you're
you,
not
hold on,
saying enough for go with an afro.
hold on, listen to this.
But then,
When I
it
was
depends
growing
on
up,
it
when
depends
I
on the
was,
kind of people who want to use the afro, a black person or a white
But this is
person.
not about afro neither. This not got nothing to do with Afro.
That is an
Yes, you nearly can't go
example.
haircut, you the hair go hairstyle.
Example. An example.
And
It's an
Afro now a
example, G
hairstyle.
Mike.
Afro do
G
now a
Mike is an
hairstyle, G Mike.
example.
Yes.
G Mike is just an example. Don't be
You
That's
cannot
disrespectful.
talk to me like I'm stupid. I reject that.
No, man.
I,
I'm not.
I, I, I
I'm
object
just
to that, and I'm not being sensitive. I'm being real. Don't talk to me like I'm stupid. That's
how
all I'm
you want.
saying.
Listen, how you want real and black people had to put hot comb in and they have to try pass. How you are real when I used to tease people and say they got picky head.
What does
How you
that
are
have to
real
do with the subject at hand, though?
because the ability of schools to control us has been curtailed by the law. That not because you, the teacher, or you, the school, have a particular view of how the student have to look, that you could impose that upon students. That's
When
just
you
what I'm
went,
trying
when
to
you
say.
went to school,
I'm just trying to say
well,
that,
why, man? But make I say something sometime without you to
sure, you're
jump
the
on me like
chairman.
that? No. When you confused me for a minute, I wasn't sure. No. When you went to school, were there guidelines that you were expected to abide by?
Yes, all schools have that.
All right. Now, has things gotten better or has they gotten worse since then?
That's an opinion.
All right. Well, it's after 9, people.
Yeah.
Joe, you had an opinion on the hairstyle thing and the hair matter.
I don't believe that we continue in that outdated fashion of wanting to curtail too much as to how we are to wear our hair. I agree that there might be some uniformity would be needed in schools, some schools, and I think that is quite fine. Like the uniformity of uniforms, that's uniformity. Evidently, you don't want children to go to school in a bikinis. So I understand that there will be some kind of codes that will have to be established, but we need to be careful to the extent of which we will interfere with the rights of people. So when it comes to hairdo, we get hung up on the belief that if your hair is long, I don't see how it will affect your behavior, or if your hair is short. So I think we have to begin to put aside some of the outdated things that we used to do just for the sake of wanting to control.
Your friend, Dickie Gregory
Yeah.
Merson, who was on your side on one topic, and I admire a man that can hold his own on different topics. He says that he agrees that there ought to be a a standard set of rules that schools can ask students to abide by. Now it gets ridiculous when I know a young man, they asked for black shoes along with the uniform. His black shoes had a few white lines on it, and he sent them back home. Um, I think also too that and there's a funny thing because if you have just freestyle addressing, one student might go some very expensive stuff, and the other one who can't afford it will have to go in and maybe tattered garments. You kind of like the established one disparity there that is not very good in setting discipline and raising children. So yeah, we have to look on it. There are different ways to look at it.
We have to
So
have rules. We have to have rules.
well, that and at the end of the day,
And
that I believe in.
the rules must be reasonable, and the rules must take into account that there will be exception to how the general population look on certain things or how a particular school look at certain things.
As like
You and
law.
I probably could go back to a period. I attended Anglican primary school, but some of my neighbors they attended Roman Catholic primary schools. And the punishment that they were subjected to, we were not subjected to it. Like nobody know according to them. They hold your ears and then twist it hard. They make you kneel down on greater. They do certain things which in a few weeks the outright lashing with sash card. No, you can't lash students. Can you imagine that a student can be very rude, but you can't get one three lashes because that kind of corporal punishment has gone through the door. This morning I had a little back and forward with a student because she did not know, she and her colleagues did not know that in the law books of Belize, the criminal code, as it is called, that that it is still a law in Belize that persons who commit murder of a certain type, like a class A and class B murder we have, that the law in Belize is they can still be hung. There's no law that we know nothing hang. It is
But you
written.
better, you can't really.
Well, it is the law. That's why we had a little
Well,
discussion
Steve,
about the law, no?
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. So
Um, but
there have to be you can't have a society without rules, and you have to be flexible the way you apply rules and so on. But what rules
can you
represent?
create one
Yeah.
question? Can you equate that with laws also?
Sorry.
Can you equate that with laws? The rules are kind of like laws. The rules of the school are the laws of the school.
Yeah.
Are you going to be flexible there, but on the other side you can't be?
Well, we always have to be flexible because we are always growing. The law is not a static thing. The law is
Uh,
dynamic and it goes
uh,
as the society goes. And one
uh,
thing which might be outrageous back in a certain days
right.
is no longer a big thing. I think you
Mhm.
had to wear socks if you made go to the like Hillers, you had to wear white socks along with black shoes. A whole lot of things, but as the society evolve, as we become more progressive, if I could borrow that word there, we focus more on that the child is getting the learning.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful. So we focus more then on the society, get
yeah,
rid of a pedophile, than on the fact that the process was followed. Where's it?
yeah.
Uh, le- gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. We're past time. Um,
You had
thanks
a
again, Dickie. Thanks for joining. I get who was there when I got me in this heated
because
discussion.
the
I would like
exchange.
to say something in parting, Mr. Chairman, if you allow me to.
Yeah, if CY will allow.
I think this constitution does provide mechanism, no doubt, for citizens to participate in the governance of our country. That's a fact. Now, we need our policemen, we need the judiciary, and we need politicians. So I think we as citizens have an obligation that in that participation, we give credit where credit is deserving. But when we believe that they are deviating from what we think is the constitutional provisions, I think we have an obligation to speak out to them and do it respectfully, because that is the way we will strengthen our democratic rights. We cannot continue to want to be so partisan that when the red is in, they will condone whatever it does, and when the blue is in, they'll condone whatever it is. And that's all I would have to say in ending this.
And let us
Participate in our democracy.
let that be the second to last word. Let the last word be continue aware of the injustices in the Middle East. Free Palestine. Gentlemen, thanks a lot. See why we're done here.
You had a hot show, G Mike.
Spirited at time. Respect.
Yeah.
I can swear.
Breaking news.
I had to close the window because it start rain.
News.
All right, that's it.
Designed by the system to keep your man fused. Previews, propaganda, fake news, distort your views. Big man compromise their own values. Yes. Watch when we sing again. Breaking news, news breaking. All I believe is starting. Breaking news, news breaking. Poor people just keep on suffering. Breaking news, news breaking. Mama, please stop crying. Breaking news, news breaking. Scratching my head, contemplating. I am very elated that them find Kelvin, even though we don't get the full overstanding. And what about the rest of people them missing? Families still in a mourning. Psychological desensitizing. So when the real hit the fan, it won't be alarming. Breaking news is distracting. Then why we keep forgetting about McAfee and the shit eating, Mason, Pastor Lou beheading, all the gun smuggling, Chinese man them killing, passport duplicating, all the people under them keep on thieving. We need a solution for the gang banging. No fret, breaking news investigating. Breaking news,
news breaking. All I believe is talking. Breaking news breaking. Most of it heart-wrenching. Breaking news breaking. Mama, please stop crying. Breaking news breaking. Scratching my head, contemplating. For years, we watch you no abuse, you no power. Most things say we suffer from amnesia, oppression. They pump for them agenda. You could tell by them aggressive nature. Cocaine is slip through the border, but for a weed seed, you get charged for murder. Forget about the threat from Guatemala. Like that, done on news, no money. Election time, clipboard and paper. Then they fight forget me Lee's signature. Them say, see, my life will be better, but a promise is nothing but a fool's comforter. No retreat, no surrender. Divided we fall, we stronger together. Add fire to the flame and blow lava on all of them politics stop. Breaking news breaking. The whole I believe is talking. Breaking news breaking. Oh, people keep on suffering. Breaking news breaking. Hey, mama, please stop crying. Breaking news breaking. Got in my head, contemplating. $8 million to build one lease street. Well, Rasta, you can't find nothing to eat. Greediness to the devil with no heartbeat. You have to wake up and stop sleep. Living in a Babylon, nothing sweet. Teaching your window and you still can't see it. Lifestyle of the rich and the famous elite. They no sow nothing, the jewel and the reap. Yeah.
I believe John Massive, me begging if you just live progressive because the real life is the real life it will live. Not come earthways to like Jah give. General the bow. We never forget, no forgive. Aggressive, assertive, attentive, innovative. Black people representative. We want to just lean back and check the motive. Sing out.
Right now the youth them they kill one another. Right now in the time for they pray to the Father. Right now Billy's under fire. Right now, right now, right now, right now the youth them they kill one another. Right now in the time for they pray to the Father. Right now, spread the news to your brother. Right now, right now, right now, right now. Blind lead the blind, prophecies fulfilled. Signs of the time when Satan billions them call it white collar crime. Granny scrape the pennies, but she cannot find a dime.